Hey, this is Tyler with TJack Survival. I have a whole bunch of field review videos of knives, but I don't have a lot of what I would call the tabletop review. So I'm gonna knock out a whole bunch of tabletop reviews to give you the specs and some close-ups of all of the knives that I demo. All right, stay tuned. A whole bunch of blades today, which you will see these spread out for months. I wanted to give you some field reviews and some tabletop reviews, even though it's a tabletop in the field. Maybe we'll call it a treetop review. Haha. All right, so what I'm gonna do is this. My two favorite choppers, bar none, have got to be the Bark River Golock and the Bark River Parang. All right, I use the crap out of these blades. I'm sure you've seen these in a bunch of videos that I've done. I'm gonna start with the Parang, largely because this model is going to, there's been rumors, wink wink, that there's gonna be a Parang 2 coming out soon. I really like this design. If you want this design, go buy it right now. If you wanna wait for the Parang 2 to come out, and it's a different design, I'll explain a little bit about what it will be looking like. I haven't seen one, I just have kind of heard through the grapevine some of the stuff about it. But if you want to get one of those, get one of those instead. One thing that I constantly worry about with any leather sheath is cutting my tabs off when I open it. So something that I did is I added some stretchy cord to the sheath. So when I push the button, it holds them open, basically by pulling on that. I have a more in-depth video probably a month or two ago on my channel that talks about how I did that, so I won't go completely down that rabbit hole. One really cool thing about this sheath is it comes out the front, okay? It gives you the ability to pull that blade right out the front. One thing that I didn't like was how low that belt hanger was on the sheath. It pushed it really high up the leg. Some people might like that. It gives it a little more higher pull on it. I didn't like it. I wanted to drop it. So physically what I did is I just cut the little holes right there, cut the string off. I used some synthetic sinew, which is, it looks like sinew, it feels like sinew, it's made out of nylon. And I hand sewed those holes by using an awl, which is a leather punch. And the cool thing about synthetic sinew is because it is nylon, when you're done tying your knots, hit it with the lighter and you can just lick your thumb so it doesn't burn you, push real quick, and that seals it solid. It's not coming undone. So I basically detached that, moved it up a little bit, added these rubber bands so that it flings my sheath open, and that's all I've really done on this sheath. Largely, sometimes I'll wear this in my belt, but most of the time I leave it in my backpack. This big chopper is more something that I use to make shelters with and so forth. So about this Parang, okay? The Parang has 3 chopping sections of the blade. A lot of people don't realize this. Grab a stick. The close part of the blade, this has got a little bit of oil and dust on it. The close part of the blade is great because it's got that curve to it, all right? And that's gonna give me this ability to do feather sticks, should I choose, okay? Some nice fine work. Or turn the blade towards me, put it against my chest, put the stick against my chest so I'm not flinging this incredibly sharp hand-removing blade all over the place, and just pull, okay? Pull with an angle. Super sharp, small cuts. Gotta get my angle right. This is important for stuff like making a steak. If I cut it there, I cut here, and then I cut here, that's 3 angles, okay? Busted the tip a little bit. But that little tip right there, that's gonna make a great steak. When you have 3 angles, it goes into the dirt easier. The next part of the blade is the chopping part of the blade, or this part, for chopping, all right? So I'll show you a little bit of footage on chopping the blade, or on the blade chopping. With this is what we call a draw knife. You don't press it down, you draw it back as you cut. Now, one note, again, this is a big knife. If you're swinging it at something and you miss and hit your leg, you're gonna go to the hospital. If you're out in the bush and you hit your leg, you're gonna bleed out and die. So be incredibly safe with a blade of this size. One thing that I've done is I've added a lanyard to the back of it so that it's hard, even if I swing and miss, it's still gonna stay onto my hand, okay? It's hard to let go of this with the lanyard. Now, this big parang, the last part of the blade is the very, very tip. And the reason why the very tip is important is because you can grab it and use that as an ulu knife for chopping and skinning, okay? One thing also that people don't really think about, if I was using just one blade, I have the ability to do fine bushcraft, I have the ability to chop, and I have the ability to do skinning, and I can make a ferro rod fire with it. Now, just like any ferro fire, I don't believe it's best to swing the blade forward. I believe that you put it on the ground and pull it back, and then just drop your spark wherever you want your spark to be. But having this 90-degree angle, I can still throw a spark with that big blade, okay? Now, I love this blade. It works well. It's a draw knife. It's great shelter builder, but they're coming out with a different design. I don't know what they're gonna do to change the blade shape. I know they're going to change it a little bit, but I do know that the handle's gonna be a little longer and it's gonna have a curl on the bottom, which is gonna be more indicative of an Indonesian blade. I like that. Here's why. Your hand, as you chop, inertia brings that blade forward, okay? That's why I have the leash, so that I don't lose control and swing it forward and lose it. But the handle that they're coming out with is gonna fix that problem. So as you chop down, your pinky will hold on to that handle because it's got a little shelf down there, and the blade won't go forward out of your hand. So I'm really looking forward to that parang 2 when they get one. I will immediately, when they get them in and I get one, I will immediately do a tabletop review for you, and then I'm gonna try and take that thing out and build a shelter with it if I can. All right, so that is the Bark River parang. Let's talk about what might be my favorite chopper even over the parang, which is the Golock. So this is my new Golock. I had a blade that was a Golock, and we used it. I filmed with Blade HQ and the Boulder Outdoor Survival School in Boulder, Utah, and Kirsten, who filmed with me, was awesome. We carried this parang and we carried a Golock. I gave her the Golock that she can keep and use in the future because she's a wilderness survival instructor. And fortunately, Mike gave me a Golock to do further demos with. Initially what I did, I added Obernoffs to the sheath. I hit it with a lighter to melt the wax in and make it stronger. I added a little stretchy string 550 cord, I don't know what this stuff's called. I got it at Hobby Lobby. So that I can pull the button and it flips that right out of the road. Just pulls on it so that when I pull my blade out, I don't chop it off, because these are so sharp. I know if I don't do something like that, I'm gonna cut that little tab right off and ruin my sheath. Now, the reason why I gave this to Kirsten and the reason why I'm a big proponent of this Golock, yes, it looks like a big butter knife, but the reason is because it's not too heavy, but it cuts like a heavy blade. So if you're in a survival situation, you have to watch your calorie expenditure. You can't exhaust yourself cutting firewood when you don't have a way to replace it with food. So this is important because this gives me the ability to chop without a lot of force. As you can see, I can move it quick. I could use this excellently as a defensive knife, okay? But there's little force putting forward to a lot of payoff for cut, okay? So it's got a convex grind, just like the parang. It's incredibly sharp. It just blasts through whatever I cut with it. I literally think it feels like cutting through butter when I'm chopping into a willow tree. I'll go take the leaves off and I'll just bump it, and I gotta be careful to angle or it will like stop in the tree. So it's really incredibly sharp. I added a lanyard to this too. I don't need the lanyard as much on the Golock as I would with the Parang because it's so lightweight and easy to control. However, just like any large knife, I don't need to throw this into my leg and go to the hospital or bleed out in the bush and die. So I leave that lanyard there, so if I do lose it, okay, it's gonna stay on my arm. I'm not gonna accidentally drop this and bounce it into my leg or whatever. So anyway, this is an A2 steel. I think the Parang is A2 steel as well. I don't know. I'll have to look that up and leave in the comments. That means it can rust, but it's really hard to rust. Just know that it can. So either slap a patina on it or just keep it oiled. A little bit of oil, a little bit of mineral oil or actual motor oil. Just spread it on the blade and you're good to go. A little bit in the sheath won't hurt anything. That keeps the water from rusting your blade up, and it keeps the chemicals that they use to tan leather from rusting your blade up as well. Just like in my other videos, the knot that I tied right here is the diamond lanyard knot that I got from the app Grog Knots. So go download that app and you'll be able to check it out. There's the Bark River Golock and Parang. Seriously guys, if you want a one blade for the bushcraft, this is the one that you need to get. So go check it out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Leave your comments in the bottom. Please subscribe. And thank you for watching TJack Survival.